Hello, Culture and Leadership Connections podcast listeners on Patreon. Today, I get to speak a little bit more with Raphael Adegboye, and he is going to provide us with three contrasting cultural experiences that he has had, right, Raphael?
Yeah, absolutely.
So why don't you tell our listeners more about what you want to share and why it's important to you?
Yeah, thanks again for having me, Mary, on the Leadership and Podcast, and thanks to all the listener. As a follow-up to the first interview we had, I decided to share a bit about myself with regards to my story on adaptation. And I have three pictures in here, one being when I was still back in Africa, the other one being when I moved to Germany for my graduate study, and the last one being a picture of myself showing my giving back to my new home, which is Canada. I just wanted to be able to tell the story through all three pictures.
Awesome. Well, feel free to share the pictures and tell us what you want to share.
All right. So the first picture here is me way back after my my first degree. This is me in what appears to be a paramilitary outfit. We call this the period of national service. So part of the program in Nigeria, and I think in most African countries, once you're done your graduate study, you have a year to do what's called a national service. That's your way of giving back to your country. And oftentimes you are sent outside of your immediate locality. For example, if you did your graduate study in Ontario, you could be sent to, say, Nunavut or to Alberta to go in there for a year just to give back to a specific community in there. So this is me, in that specific outfit, talking about adaptation, living home, going into this eastern part of Nigeria for the first time. And, you have to adapt, you have to find ways to really make that new community your new home. And you did this for a year. You worked in different places, you knew the community, you tried to pick up a few languages within the community, and you also ensure that you stay true to the purpose for which you were there. You make sure you behave the right ways and all of that. So this is the first picture here.
So what was that experience like for you?
Oh, it was quite a unique one because, like I said, it was first and foremost, it took you completely out of your comfort zone. It took you to a new environment where, you were meeting new people. You were, finding ways to ensure that you cope and you adapt. You, as part of the military or the national service, you had times when you were also put through paramilitary training, climbing ropes, jumping hoops, and for physical fitness. So that was something new completely for me. I did a few exercises here and there, but when you have soldiers now drilling you, just to prepare you for the rugged and the tough experiences ahead, it was quite a different one for me.
So what would you say you learned from that experience?
Oh, from this experience, I think, it was just my first way of giving back to a different community. I love giving back, but it's always been within my immediate environment. But in this case, you went outside of your home, outside of your comfort zone. You also needed to know what the people wanted. It's one thing for you to want to help. It's another thing for you to understand what really it's useful for the recipient of your help. So I think in this instance, it was important for me to learn what the people needed as part of my giving back to them.
That's really important learning. A lot of people still haven't learned that, and many organizations haven't learned that either, right? They go in and think they're going to do what is best without having ever really consulted with people and found out what their needs are. Awesome. So what's the next photo that you'd like to show us?
The next picture here is me now in my home at the time. This is me standing in front of my former university at the University of Bonn in Germany. The building at the background there is the iconic building of the university building. And, I've left Africa for the first time here in Germany, in Cologne, in Bonn. And, the first few months for me was my period of adaptation. I got into the program by a stroke of luck and by divine providence, but initially it was really tough to raise the funds to go for the program. So apparently when I landed in Germany, I had my bags in my hands and I went straight into my first lecture because the program had already started. And, after a while, with the help of the program coordinator and my open-mindedness approach to life, I was able to figure out my way. And I mean, you can see the smile on my face in that picture. This is me now saying, hey, this is it. I've crossed the Odo, I've crossed the Atlantic for the first time. I'm now in Germany for my graduate studies. So this experience was quite a unique one for me. First time of living in an environment where there is snow, putting my winter jacket on, putting my hat, and just, a completely different being away from what I was used to back in Nigeria and in Africa. So again, it's also an experience of adaptation, finding yourself in an environment which is different, and making sure that you survive and you be your best.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's great. I love that picture. And what's the third picture you want to show us?
I'm going to stop this and I will show the third one here. The third picture here is now, this is me in a complete construction gear. This is now in Canada. This is actually I think about 2 years ago, thereabout. This is as part of, again, talking about adaptation and talking about giving back. This is me for the first time working in the construction field, volunteering for Habitat for Humanity, putting up a home somewhere in Brampton, Ontario. When the opportunity came, and given the person that I am, always willing to give back, I jumped on it and I was willing to just go all the way to support the livelihood of others within the community. A story of adaptation, because again, I've never had to, wear helmet, wear Google, and all the construction gears, but I went for it. And it was quite an interesting experience. So this specific building is now a livable building. People now live in this specific building. And interestingly, when I drive my 3 daughters around, I sometimes pass through this building and I would point to this building to, as a way of educating them that giving back is important. They've seen this picture before. And, like I said, when I drive through that particular building, I make sure that they have a look at the building from the exterior as their own way of knowing that in giving back, you also you help others, and more importantly, that their dad was part of putting up that building.
So Habitat for Humanity, for people who don't know, is an organization that helps people who would really benefit from having a home, but don't have the funds to put it on a down payment for the home, or to pay the mortgage off through sweat equity. So volunteers come, the various companies contribute the materials, and the family also contributes to helping to build the home. And then afterwards they pay a small amount until they've reached have it paid for the costs of the house. And so it's a great way to help people to lift themselves up with the support of other people, and a good opportunity for many businesses to contribute to the well-being of the community in which they operate. And it uses a lot of volunteers, and volunteers can either have specific trades experience or no experience, and then they're placed in different teams depending on what their experience level is and what they're interested in learning and what they're willing to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you perfectly summarized what the Habitat for Humanity does, and I think based on my limited experience, I think they're across the country. Yeah. This specific unit that I volunteered for is within the Greater Toronto area, and they're very active. And I'm still a volunteer. Whenever the opportunity presents itself, I'm still willing to, roll up my sleeves, put on my gears, and go build.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. That's really great. So definitely shows how you're willing to adapt, to learn, and to participate in new experiences without judging them, just going and participating and learning from them, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So why was it important for you to share this with our listeners?
Yeah, I mean, I think, looking at what we all are dealing with, and when I say we all, I mean with the pandemic, with the changes it has brought into our lives, with us not being able to move the way we want to move, not go to the places we want to go to, not, share our love and our affection for each other the way we've always shared it. So I felt it's important to bring in the concept of adaptation, that as we're going through the shift, as we're rediscovering our new life, and as we're, finding ways to make life more meaningful, I think it's important to know that life unfolds in phases. And unfortunately, this is the phase we are dealing with today. There is light at the end of the tunnel. And I mean, looking at my story back in Nigeria, in Germany, and now in Canada, I think there is that dynamics in there that speaks to the fact that this experience that we all are facing, the pandemic, will be over, and we will move into a new phase. And once we get into that new phase, we can also redefine how we move on and we exist as human beings.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you, Mary.
So if you want to unshare the screen for a bit so we can see your full face. Any parting words before we end?
Again, I'd just like to thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'd like to encourage everyone listening to, just hang in there. It's a different environment. It's tough. We now need to evolve as leaders. We need to adapt to new culture. We need to find new rhythm. But either way, we will get through this. We will come out of this, and life will be better. And I want to also use this opportunity to share concerns and warm wishes with anyone who through this pandemic might have lost someone so dear to them, maybe lost a job, lost a loved ones. Our thoughts and prayers are with you in all of these phases.
Thank you so much, Raphael. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Mary.